Right, with Welling United assistant manager Hugo Langton after a disappointing 3-0 defeat at home to East Thurrock. Hugo, at times there didn't look too much between the two sides, but were they a bit more clinical than us and had a little bit more about them?
Yeah, do you know what? I'll be honest with you, I thought the difference was today was I thought they did the basics a little bit better than us. Sam Higgins, I know him well, 2 bits of quality, 2 good goals to be fair. Perhaps we could have done better with them, but it is what it is, you know. They didn't outwork us. I think the work rate was there today, and we tried to get on the front foot, particularly in the second half when we brought Tom Bradbrook on. And we had a period of the game as well for probably the first 15-20 minutes of the second half where you feel if you nicked a goal or got yourself back in it at 1-1, possibly it would have been a different game, but that's not how it worked out. And 2 bits of Sam Higgins quality, which he's been doing for years and years and years, in the end was the undoing of us.
They've had a good start. I mean, Ryan's made 4 very good saves in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could have been worse than 3-0, Hugo.
Yeah, quite possibly. You know, you can't leave people free in the box. You've got to win your individual battles. Like I said, maybe they did the basics better than us today, and for me it's what it come down to, because they didn't play us off the park. They just perhaps did the basics better than us.
Do you think we're lacking a little bit of confidence? Because do you think we gave the ball away a little bit cheap in midfield? And
I don't think it's about lacking confidence. I just think maybe today we just lacked a bit of quality, really. I think, you know, confidence is one thing, but being brave is another thing, and this just wasn't our day. We'll dwell on it, we'll reflect on it, we'll do what we need to do as a management team, and we'll just have to work hard this week to put it right. We just said to the players, and it's an important week for us now. You know, we've lost 2 in the bounce, which I don't think we've done yet this season. I know we have earlier in the season, but it's not something we've done recently, and it's not something that we want to continue doing. And we've just got to be honest with each other this week and bounce back and put in a performance in Truro next week.
We keep going behind in games recently, Hugo, to teams.
Yeah.
I know we have fought back in some games, but do you start thinking about looking at the system and the shape?
But the thing is, though, right, it's very difficult to suddenly change your system of play. We've got players that fit into a system of play, which what we play, but you know, to start toying with systems and changing with systems can take quite a lot of work to get things right, you know. And don't forget, we went on a really big run with the same system and things were great, and all of a sudden things have just gone the other way a little bit lately, and we've just got to fight back and work hard to get back to what we know we're capable of doing, and get some results on the board again. It's still tight in there. You know, we're still within touching distance of it, and we've said all along that when it comes to around February, maybe beginning March time, that if you're still in and around it, you've got a chance. You know, and there's a long way to go. There's a lot of football to play. We're going to have great days, and we've had plenty of them. We've had some bad days, and today, unfortunately, was bad day.
So Jamie said last week he wasn't happy at all, and he didn't think a few of them were putting it in, or words to that effect.
Yeah.
Do you think there's still a little bit of that, or do you think the effort was there today,
yeah,
Hugo?
I don't think today you can question our work rate. They didn't work harder than us. In terms of that, I think both teams give their all today. But one thing I will say, fair play to East Thurrock. I thought they were excellent today, and they did the basics well, and they took their opportunities.
This feels like the sides we're coming up at Hemel, sides like that, where we're sort of around their kind of level and standard, we're being outfought a little bit, Hugo. Is that a little bit of like you know, a little bit of professionalism, or what's the word I'm looking for, where they seem to have that little bit in games like that where they've got a little bit more balls than us?
I don't really know the answer to that, because you know, you wouldn't have asked that question 2 or 3 games ago.
But you know, mate, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying in games like that, they look like they have that little bit more cutting edge than us.
I think the important thing for us, if I'm honest with you, is that we need, you know, it's actually a phrase I really hate, and I've used the word basics quite a bit in this interview, and I hate the phrase back to basics. I don't know why, I always have done, but that's kind of like what we've got to do, and you know, we've just got to work as hard as we can to put it right. And if we think that, you know, we'll review the game, and if we think that players are getting sort of pushed around too easily, then we've got to find out why, because they weren't getting pushed around too easily long ago. So I think it's a really strange question, because people talk about, you know, the physical side of the game, and it is an important side of the game, but you know, as an individual, you need to turn up to games and to training, and you've got to make sure you're on it, and you've got to win your individual battles. And if specific players aren't, we feel, doing that, then obviously it's something we'll have to look at and question. But right now, like 10 minutes after the final whistle, I don't feel that we've been out muscled, as it were. I just think that we just have a couple of things, basic things that we didn't do right today. I felt perhaps which goal was it? The third goal, I think it was.
One for Higgins from the edge of the
you
box.
can't. With Sam Higgins, you can't you can't give him time to get the ball out of his feet and shoot, because that's what he is. Sam Higgins is a great player, but he's never going to run past you, and he'll tell you that. But if you let him get the ball out of his foot on his right foot and get a sighted goal, you're in trouble. And so it's just small things like that perhaps need to be better. I think for me as well, I think a couple of the goals came from us having good possession higher up the pitch, and when you lose the ball, you've got to be able to work hard to get back and try and affect it. I think for me as a coach, whatever team I've ever worked with, I've always said to them as well, even when we got the ball, you've got to know where their dangerous players are. So the 4 attacking players today were dangerous on the counter. 3 of them were mobile, 1 of them less so, but the one that was less so is also dangerous for other reasons. You just need to know where people are, and whilst we've got some experience in the change room, we've also got players that aren't experienced to give you that blend, and often that's what your budget dictates as well. And we just got to keep working with the players. This is also part of education, but there's a long way to go. Today was a bad day. We just move on from it. As a management team, sure, we've got to look at stuff, but you've got to keep players tails up. You've got to keep them at it. We've got to stay on them, and that's what we'll do this week. And hopefully we'll have a better week this week.
Jeffrey Monacana, injured?
Yeah, he's got a slight hamstring strain. It's minor, but enough to keep him out for today.
So he should be back shortly.
Yes.
Any other injuries? Ian Gale?
No, Ian's fine.
Gailey's back fit, and
yeah, he's fine. Yeah,
so we did tinker about a little bit today. We pushed we brought Ben back, pushed Archie further forward.
I think it's difficult when Jeffrey. It made it difficult for us with Jeffrey not being available, because you're looking at the wide areas and you think, well, you could play Jebby out there because with his delivery, but then he's not that sort. He's not a player who plays in that role. So that to us was perhaps more of a square peg in a round hole. Whereas Archie can play as a winger, and obviously Nana is a winger. So it was what do you do? Well, we figured that maybe we wanted Archie to play because he has got good delivery, but then Nana's a ball carrier as well. So you're kind of looking at the balance of that. And but when you've got players like Jeffrey Monacana injured, it doesn't matter what you're going to miss them. There'll be other teams that have got players similar to Jeffrey, when they don't play, they're going to miss them. And Jeffrey was a big miss just today, but at the same time, you're not a one-man team. And we can't just rely on Jeffrey, but he's a good player, and of course when he doesn't play we miss him. Same when Joe Healy didn't play last week, we missed him, and other players as well. And, and I'm sure we'll miss Connor when he's suspended for his game, so that's the way it is.
We'll go to our next opponent, Truro, which is really weird because we had a poor start there, which we've been doing of late, but then we come back into the game, looked like we were going to win easy, and then ended up losing at the end to a bit of a free goal. So do we owe them a little bit, and is that a little bit of motivation?
I don't think it's about owing them anything. I think on that particular day, with the architects of our own downfall, particularly one individual who then went and retired 2 days later, that for me personally was responsible for all 3 goals. Truro have been on a great run. I think they got beaten today by St Albans, so they're going to be looking to bounce back. But they're a good side, and done a lot of travelling lately, and they're going to have to travel again. And I think we've got to. It's not about them for us this week. It's about us. We've got some things that we need to sort out ourselves. We've just lost 2 home games without scoring a goal, and there's things that we've got to look at. We've got to cut that out. We've got to take our chances when we get them, and I thought we created some good chances today. I thought Bradley Goldberg was excellent in the first half, and Tom Bradbrook had a big battle up in the second half, and to be fair to them, when Brad did get on the ball and around the box, they snaffled it out. And I thought in particular their left-sided centre-half, the right-sided centre-half, Ekpateta, was outstanding today and done his job magnificently. Yeah,
I mean their keeper's made 2 or 3, 4 saves as well.
Yeah,
it's not like he's had absolutely nothing to do.
It's not one-way traffic.
But things weren't falling for us in the box, was it?
No, but also, Hugo? You go down to 10 men and you're 1-0 down and you're thinking, that's okay because we can deal with that. We have done before, but the second goal kills you a little bit. We tried to sort of liven it up by making 2 more substitutions, and because you're thinking, well, you know, you got to try and have a go, haven't you? You know, and I think we huffed and puffed quite a bit today, but we just couldn't quite blow the house down.
Hugo, thanks for that, and we'll see you next Saturday.
You're welcome.
Cheers, mate.